Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
J-Rod, I am all sorts of ready to roll. I'm jacked up today. What's going on, everybody? BT Unleashed in the house, ready to roll. We got so much today. Let's just jump into it. 10:45, Alex Rodriguez live on the show. That is number one. Couple of quick housekeeping notes here. Later on today, episode 11 of the Jets Collective. We'll roll through the OTAs and all that stuff there. Yeah, I mean, I don't love the fact that Kenyon Sadiq is actually had a little procedure, so he's going to be ready for training camp. Okay, I mean, you know, I don't love the fact that he's going to have the hernia, but Jay, if you could splash that up, we've got that coming up today. The Jets Collective. Oh boy, J-Rod is oof. J-Rod's a little slow. Jay, you okay today, buddy? I just talked to you down the line. You seemed like you were ready. Good night's sleep. What's going on, bud?
No, listen, I was ready. I heard the AROD, then I was like, I got a little tipped off right there.
Got a little flustered. Now, episode 11 today. That's coming up at 2:30. And then next week, and this obviously ties into what happened last night with the Spurs winning Game 7. Knicks get to chill a little bit more. And then nobody's chilling starting next week, although I will be chilling at Borelli's. I don't know that I'll be sitting there just relaxed chilling. I will be there hanging, and I will be rooting like a lunatic with many of you out in Long Beach. So that's coming up on Wednesday. Game 1, whether it's the Spurs, whether it's the Knicks, whatever, let's go. Pardon me, Spurs to the Thunder. Let's go. NBA Finals. It still almost seems a little surreal, but it is. Next week is going to be absolutely bonkers. Can't wait. As I said, Alex coming up at about 10:45. So we got about 40 minutes or so to flush through a bunch of things. Got some Knicks stuff. Got something on the yesterday was a very big day, by the way, for Major League Baseball, at least in terms of knowing, you know, where the two sides are at. It's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. It's the most boring thing to talk about. I get it. I'm going to boil it down, break it down very simply, and let you know what I think, where we are, and more specifically, where we're going. So with that being said, today's show, as always, is brought to you by my friends at Sullivan Papain. Find Sullivan online at trawlaw1.com. That's trawlaw1.com. Remember the name Sullivan Papain, and buy Premio sauces. Get your sausage here. Premio, the way sausage should be. Find them at premiofoods.com or in your local grocery store. Now, because so many of us have been rattled to the core most of this century with the, shall we say, the errant ways of the Knicks, when the Mitch Robinson news came down, we're like, here we go. I wasn't alarmed at all. I mean, if you tell me something's jacked up in Mitch's foot, which we've seen before, or his knee, that's a different level of concern. To me, this is a non-issue. Is Mitchell Robinson going to play? What do you think? Of course he's going to play. You think he's going to let a pinky get in the way? The longest tenured Nick of going out there and playing in the NBA Finals. He'll need surgery. It's a finger. It's a pinky. He's not a shooter at all. Catch the ball, dunk it at the rim, block a couple of shots, get a couple of rebounds, and that's it. So I'm not worried about Mitch at all. So there's really not much to say about that, except I don't think it's really a big deal. Well, I do want to say this, right? So one of the great things about this Knick run, I know it's bothered some of you, like whether it's Stephon Marbury or some other Knicks that maybe conjure up some flashbacks to some, rough days for sure. But one of the great things has been, the unity for the Knicks alums. Obviously, when they won the Eastern Conference Championship the other night, I mean, it was just so amazing seeing the big fella out there with Clyde Frazier, Jalen Brunson, and the current Knicks. Like, that was just a really cool moment. And, once again, I saw last night my buddy Pat Boyle, who was with CBS Sports Radio for a long time. Love Pat, very good talent. Does a show on MGM. What's the MGM Bets, or I'm my bad for not remembering the exact name of the show, but he had Oakley on, and Pat's a very good talent, great guy, good talent, really good dude. And what do you know? Once again, Charles Oakley trashing Patrick Ewing, and then Oakley wants to know. He keeps going on these shows, and he keeps asking why don't they talk to me? Why don't they invite me? I don't know, Oak. Maybe because every time you get a chance to shit on Patrick Ewing, you do it. And if I'm Patrick Ewing and if I'm John Starks, at this point, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with you either. I mean, enough of this pettiness. Come on. It's childish. It really is. It just sounds it just sounds like, come on, bro, you've got to evolve. I'm not saying that the Knicks were perfect to you. I was there the night that you were let out in handcuffs. I mean, it was a rough scene. I get it. But that was a Dolan Garden thing, which there have been attempts to resolve that, by the way, as well. The stuff with Patrick, I got to tell you a quick story because this is obviously, and I respect what's in Charles Oakley's heart because he was the ultimate gamer. He was a great Knick, not a great player, but a great Knick. And you know what I mean with the difference between the two. We love Oak. We absolutely love what he represented, the tenacity, the toughness, the grit. Just, all the wins in the middle of anytime there was a flare up, you knew number 34 was going to be right there, grabbing somebody by the throat, throwing a punch, whatever it took to just, impose his physical will. Because Charles Oakley is somebody, I don't care if he's 60, whatever, you just don't mess around with somebody like Charles Oakley. Like that's a real one right there. But I got to tell you this story. So, oh my God, what was the year? If I had to take a guess, maybe 2005, 2006. There was an old show. Now, Jay, I don't know if you even remember this because this was so long ago. You ever hear of the network Spike TV?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't believe so.
I don't even think it's around anymore. But for a while, they were pretty ahead of the curve. It was like reality-based sports stuff. And they had a show called Pros versus Joes.
Okay.
Where they would have a bunch of pros come in and a bunch of Joes come, like a bunch of guys off the street and try to compete. And there was this event at the Garden. I think it was about 05, 05, 06. And it was Oakley and it may have been Charles Smith, but it was definitely Charles Oakley. It's a couple of schmoes, a couple of guys, right? Playing 2-on-2 pickup. They had a ref like it was on TV, and I was the announcer for it, right?
No way. Okay.
And it's not about me, but it's about the story that Oak told me. I'm just trying to set the scene real quick so I can get into some other stuff. So after it, we were in, this is before they reconfigured the Garden. So we're in the old Rangers locker room. For whatever reason, they were using the Rangers. Probably maybe, it's bigger. So that's what we were using. And after we shot the show, it was just me and the Oak man in there. And I love Charles Oakley. We all, right? And I'm like, man, I gotta get some answers on this. I've always had a couple of questions. If you go back to when they lost to the Rockets, that last shot where Hakeem Olajuwon came out, got a fingertip up on John Starks.
Okay.
If you watch that play, there was a high pick and roll where Patrick, I guess, according to Oak, in the huddle, the ball was supposed to go to Pat. Now, obviously, the Rockets kind of knew that. The subset to the play would be, if they gravitate to Ewing, which why wouldn't they? He's Patrick Ewing. Well, then the secondary option would be Starks for a jump shot, which is kind of what happened. But what, and I've never said this publicly, but I'm just tired of Charles Oakley constantly bashing Patrick Ewing. I'm tired of it, right? It's got to end. It's got to stop. Because I'm at the point now, I don't give a rat's ass if Charles Oakley never shows up at the Garden again. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, I'm there. To me, there's now such a disconnect and such a level of I know I'm going on a little tangent here. I'll get back to the story. Such a level of disrespect and disconnect and a lack of gratitude. Like, listen, I get it. You're a team. You travel. There's different dynamics, different relationships, different issues. Like, Patrick didn't want Don Nelson to be the coach because Don Nelson wanted to run the offense through Mace, which, by the way, was actually pretty smart and pretty forward thinking because the NBA was beginning to change. But Pat wasn't having it, and Pat eventually got, Don Nelson fired. So there are things that happen within organizations, many of which I don't know about and more that you don't know about, right? So even though that Knicks team was a lot of fun and really competitive and seemingly very connected, Patrick was, I will say this, was definitely unique in the sense that kind of did his own thing to an extent. I can't tell you how many times, not that I care anymore, how many times I've heard Charles Oakley said it again last night. In 10 years, he went to dinner twice with Patrick Ewing. I don't care about your dinner reservations. I care about the product on the court. And to me, there was never an issue in terms of synergy or playing together, right? So anyway, back to the story. So Oak, I asked him about that final play. And he basically said he did not think that Patrick Ewing wanted to take that last shot. That if you watch the play develop, Patrick wasn't as aggressive and as proactive looking for the ball as they kind of thought he would be, and that's what the play was supposed to be. And I don't know that Oak's ever said that. I'm telling you. So there has been some level of resentment and an issue And I just thought it was a basketball thing at that point. Like, okay, I got it. So basically, Charles Oakley, the co-captain's telling me that the best player, Clyde, whatever, eventually Brunson, but one of those three, best player in franchise history was basically shying away from taking the biggest shot of his life. And I found that, and I didn't go on the air the next day and say that. I held that inside. I told a few of my buddies. I held that inside for a long, long time. But I'm at the point now where I'm really past the point of no return, because I don't think that, and I'm not trying to talk tough, and I'm not trying to diss Oakley, but I'm at the point myself, and I think a lot of Knicks fans are with me here, where, you cross a line where you just keep piling on and piling on and piling on. Not only does it sound petty, but it's so disrespectful that I no longer I stopped expecting Patrick and Starks and whomever else he's got an issue with to ever really open up dialogue again for the potential to have this repaired, honestly. And I'm a believer in, like, hey, things go awry, things are said, let's have a conversation, let's flush through it. I'll give you a good example, right? So there's this thing called the Barrett Media Summit. I don't know if you know about this, Jared. It's Jason Barrett, who ironically used to be one of my program directors, brought me out to San Francisco to do Afternoon Drive. New York guy, brilliant mind. Now, I'm not saying that because he hired me, but a brilliant, I think he's the best programming mind in the business, right? Mm-hmm. Grew up, always wanted to program WFAN, had a few chances to maybe go there, but then he kind of evolved the business and he didn't. And now Barrett Media is the number one source, not just for sports. They have this entire database of great reporters. They do a really, really, they just do a phenomenal job. Anyway, he has a summit each year. And I did it a couple of years. Remember, I was telling you the other day I was on stage with Rosenberg, Bomani Jones, and Feinbaum. Okay,
absolutely.
Okay, so he asked me, like Mark Chernoff speaking, Stephen A's there, Colin Cowherd. It's a big thing. He said, hey, I'd love to have you as one of the keynote speakers for new content and what you've gone through and launching the evolution of. I said, absolutely. Mm-hmm. First of all, you're my boy. Number two, I'd love to talk about it. Anyway, then I found out, not that I care, that day, Boomer and Gio are also speaking, right? So I texted, or he texted me. He's like, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, fine. So all the stuff that happened with me and Greg and what was said, right? I really, this is more about Patrick and Oak, but even what was said, and there was some heavy shit that was said on his end, and I'm sure he meant it, and on my end, and I know I definitely meant it, all right? But if I'm at the summit and we're in the green room and I bump into Greg and there's an air in the room where, all right, let bygones be bygones. We're grown men. Things were said, got out of control, spiraled, kind of took on a life of its own. I would absolutely shake hands, make amends, and call it a day. Not that we go for a beer, not that I text him, not that I'd go on a show as a guest or anything, but, I am a believer in not holding lifelong grudges. Like I don't think that's the way to go through life. And somebody's got to get that memo to Charles Oakley. I just don't know what his problem is with Patrick Ewing. I don't get it. It's just such a bad look. And it would be I would love, like, this would be perfect, but I think we're too far past it. It would be perfect to have Oakley in the middle of the scrum with LJ and Pat and Starks and Houston and everybody else. Now, that's not going to happen because Charles Oakley, quite frankly, but respectfully, is not comporting himself in a manner where he's leaving any door slightly ajar to repair the damaged relationship. All right, that's one thing. Now, I also understand there are certain things in life, if they occur and you cross a line, there is no forgiving. Like whether it's a crime or, I'm not talking about Oak now. Like, you step out of you step out of a marriage with somebody else's wife. Like that's, you're dead. Like you're dead to whomever that happens to. I don't mean that stuff, but the level, it seems so trivial. You didn't go to dinner more than twice. I mean, Patrick Ewing, and I've had some issues with Pat in terms of he got abused by Hakeem Olajuwon in the 94 finals, thoroughly outplayed. If Pat would have played better, and obviously Starks, Knicks would have been champions. And I've had to reconcile that over the years. But the body of work that Patrick Ewing presented as the leader of the Knicks, as the captain, as the all-time leading scorer, rebound, the greatest player in the history of the Knicks. I mean, Charles Oakley just keeps going to this well, and every time you hear Charles Oakley soundbite, it is him taking a shit on Patrick Ewing. Oak, enough. Stop. It's just, that's, I mean, I don't have anything else to say about it. But I can't, I don't know, man. It's way, way over the top. And like, I always thought that Oak was the kind of guy because and I do think he is this guy still, but he's not showing you here where, you know, if you do man up and you do flush things out, that he would let bygones be bygones because he's old school. And unless Patrick did something that nobody knows about that was so vile to Charles Oakley, then all of this is largely baseless and unfortunate and really at this point unacceptable. Like there was a point where I was clamoring, almost leading the charge. We got to get Oak back in the Garden. What are we doing? How is Charles Oakley disenfranchised from the New York Knicks? What is wrong here? But the more this goes on, guys, it's quite apparent to see that it's not Patrick. It's not even Dolan. It's Charles Oakley. He's the one. Having said that, let me get a little sip of water with my Knicks cup here, you know. Oh, man, I'm so ready for the finals. All right, what time we got? All right, we got about 20 minutes before Alex. Let's talk a little baseball here. So yesterday was a very interesting day, all right? Let's get this up on the screen. I want to walk through this. It's a little long. I'll try to buzz through it kind of quick here. And then I'll tell you in very layman's terminology what you really, truly need to know. Because I will say, and I tweeted this morning, there is nothing more boring. Now, some of you don't love baseball stats and deep. I get that. That's why I wouldn't do a ton of it on the Fan. You know, you hit people with numbers. It's a little boring. I could do it more here. It's a different format. But when you start talking about, like, you know, CBAs, I think it's the biggest tune out that any sports fan could possibly have. Yo, figure it the fuck out. Figure it out. You're making $1 gazillion. The players are making $1 billion. Figure it out. So anyway, the owners responded today with a demand for a salary cap system, something generations of players have fought against. That's true. The last time the owners made such an explicit push for a cap, over 30 years ago, of course, that was 94, it led to the longest work stoppage in MLB history. Side note, Don Mattingly probably would have gotten to the World Series that year. For generations, our members have fought against cap systems because they harm players at all levels, erodes or eliminate contractual guarantees, pit players against players, lead to more work stoppages, not less, and get worse for players over time. Caps don't, this is interesting, caps don't lower ticket prices for fans, eliminate tanking or ensure teams are run with equal competence. They suffocate, which is a bunch of bullshit, by the way. They suffocate, and I'm not necessarily 100% pro MLB at this point. I'm just, that line is not true. They suffocate competition by offering owners an all-purpose excuse for inaction and mediocrity. All right, which is in stark contrast to having a team with a $70 million payroll like the Miami Marlins. All right, let's get to it. You can get me back up on the screen, Jay. So the biggest issue here and why this is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Now, the CBA expires on December 1. This will not be resolved by December 1, and that's not even going to worry me. That's going to happen. December 1, bang, locked out. No free agency, no trades, no movement, nothing. You can't use the facilities, everything hit on pause, right? Now, that's happened before, as we know. The problem here, most outside of 94, and that did not end well, which is why we're all worried about next year, generally when there is something that is being collectively bargained, the biggest gap is just in money. All right. Distribution of revenue, a minimum for the players, like stuff like that. The problem here is that there is a massive gap in the money. Okay, but we can resolve that. But there is a breakdown. There is a systematic breakdown in philosophical beliefs and fundamental and core values. Now, the proposal from Major League Baseball is to have a hard cap at $245.3 million and then a hard floor at $170. Now, look at it this way. So let's just say that this passes, which I don't think it will, not like this, but maybe some variation. But just for these numbers, we'll work with them now. and let's say magically it's all in place by 2027. The Marlins are going to have to find an extra $100 million to get their cap from their number from 70 to 170 to fit these new rules or these new parameters, right? And there's a couple of other things like 50-50 revenue split, centralization of all TV revenue. That's actually very important, but I think they could do that. Pay increase for the young players where the minimum would go from like, I think it's 8 change to 1.3 or 4 million. That's a nice jump. Like those are things that will satisfy the union, all right? Now, again, when you focus solely on money, there's going to be, I think, a pretty visible finish line, and it will get resolved. It might be painful, might be a little sloppy, get a little bloodshed, but opening day would not be in peril. But when you have a systematic belief and one entity trying to take a wrecking ball to it and the other entity trying to protect it, multiple debt going back to Kurt Flood, free agency in the 70s, like there's so much at play here that it's not going to be easy. Now, understand this, right? So with the proposed cap, and I like this. Fundamentally, I think this will be great for the sport. Whether or not they get there, that's up to them. Basically, the biggest gap between the highest spender, which is the Dodgers right now, and the lowest spender, which is the Marlins, that would go from basically $398 million, the Dodgers, 400, let's just round up, $400 million for the Dodgers, $80 million for the Marlins. That would be squeezed to the point where the gap is only $75 million. And I like that. I think that that's a win for every baseball city, especially like the Pirates, the Reds, the Marlins, and then a little bit higher level like the Brewers and teams like that. So I think that when you look at this, it is very scary because this is without question a declaration of war in the sporting sense. This is not going to be resolved. I mean, just really enjoy the season. Like enjoy what we have now because it's not going to be resolved fast. And I want to point. That's got to get something. I want to point this out too. When you look at some of the numbers here, right? So this is the first salary cap proposal since '94, and if you have a floor of $171 million, which is the proposal, well, listen to all these teams that right now are under it. The Reds, the A's, the Brewers, the Pirates, the Twins, the Cardinals, the Rockies, the White Sox, the Rays, the Nats, the Guardians, and the Marlins. Now, it's also a little inconsistent because, when people are saying, I don't know, we can't compete, and you're hearing this a lot, these little teams can't compete with this massive gap. And I understand that fundamentally. It's like it's not even, clearly, all right? But the Guardians are pretty good. The Rays are pretty good. The Brewers are pretty good. Like there's some, the Nationals won the World Series however many years it was in 2019, 6-7 years ago. So don't tell me that it's impossible, that it's inconceivable. The problem is too many of these teams that don't spend money are also dumb. So they're cheap and they're run poorly. That's not my problem. That's their problem. Now, I don't know the answer to this. I'm not even going to waste a lot of time on this because I don't know the answer. And it's just a guess. I would think, if you have a $400 million payroll now, or you have like the Mets payroll or the Yankees payroll or Toronto's payroll or Boston's payroll or the Padres payroll, like very high, top 6, top 7, Braves, top 8 payrolls. Well, you're clearly over the proposed ceiling. So will you be grandfathered in? And if you are, well, then that's probably an avenue at some point to come to some resolution here. I would think. But if you're not, what are you just going to have? You got to strip. That's where I don't know if there's a sensible course of action or at least like a pragmatic path. I don't know the answer to that. But it's the only sport without a cap. The other sports are healthy. Now, by the way, so is Major League Baseball. And that's one of the problems here. Like Major League Baseball is in a great spot. You might not like the WBC. It's grown the game. Internationally, the Japanese market is incredibly vibrant, okay? The globalization of the game, phenomenal. TV revenue stream, undeniably up. It's not like baseball's hemorrhaging money where they're going to the union saying, this is not sustainable, we can't do this. So there's a lot of bullshit on each side. That's again, layman's terminology. You got greed, and I get it. That's a battle. Listen, every time I had a contract negotiation, and I've probably had a lot of them, most of them, I mean, basically all of them were multi-year deals. So I probably had about 6 or 7 in my career. It's not fun. I'm trying to squeeze out every penny from me and my family, and they're trying to save every penny for the company. I mean, I get it. It's a very basic business premise. But eventually, this is not going to be sustainable for the sport. It's just not. And, is there a middle ground? I don't know. I really don't know. Now, I believe if let's just say that this is passed and the floor goes up $100 million, well, it's not like you have to meet the floor, but you're penalized if you don't. What is that penalty? And would that penalty be justifiable enough where, all right, instead of going from 70 to 170, I'm going to go to 70 to 110, save $60 million there, okay, and get penalized by baseball $20 million and still bang at a $40 million profit. Well, if that's the case, that's a loophole. I don't know that yet. So, Jay, this is a lot of, and I tried not to, I really didn't give you any legal mumbo jumbo. This is a lot of stuff that makes it just strips away the joy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Of being a fan. And this is one of my complaints about being a fan these days. I get it. Like it's all relative. Now, it seems like pennies back in the day, but when Mattingly signed a $20 million contract or Bonilla got big money from the Mets, not that people are like, oh, Donnie's not worth that, but there were contracts, when you're making $4 or $5 million a year back in, the late-ish 80s, early 90s, it's a lot of scratch. So it's all relative. It's all relative to 25, 30, 35, 40 years ago. I get it. But we are just constantly beat over the head with money. St. John's just signed a kid. Wow. From Baylor.
Yep. I saw that.
Whoa. Hey, if you doubt Rick Pitino, I don't know what to tell you.
No, dude. This season is about to be freaking awesome.
You're going to be sitting courtside at one of these games at the Garden. I can promise you that.
Serious?
Yeah, I'll get you. I hooked up Hoff and Sal one of those and Boone. So you don't think I'll take care of my producer? I got you.
God bless.
I got you. So the thing is that everything today is about money. Think about, and it's a burden that was kind of always there my entire life, but it was less front and center. Whether it's NIL, there were none back in the day, even though kids, and I had no problem with this, getting paid under the table, whatever. But even go back to the movie Blue Chips. Here's a Lexus for Shaq. Here's the tractor for the white shooter. I forget his name. The white shooter from Indiana. Here, whatever Penny got, whatever it was, right? Like, it's always been crooked. John Wooden had a money man as well. Money's always been a part of this, all right? But it's so centrally a story. NIL, I got to pay for Netflix. I got to pay for Amazon. I got to watch this game on this channel. If I don't have it, I can't watch it. Oh, yeah, baseball opening day is in, Japan, or NFL's going to Australia. And that's all rooted in money. And it really is a depressing conversation if you allow it to be. So I try not to allow it to be. This is different only because it's a point of inflection. The health of the sport is undeniably there, but the resistance to the path in which it's become healthy is in stark contrast, from the player side, to what they have fought for over 40 years. So dig in, enjoy every pitch for every team that you root for, because we got a problem ahead of us. We got a big one.
It's awful, man. I mean, it's just like, I'm starting to dig my teeth in, and then they're saying, we're pulling it from you. We're pulling the rug. Come on, dude.
Dude. My God. And listen, the simple answer is, and it's not rooted in reality, but the simple answer is, and I said this kind of tongue in cheek before. The owners are making gazillions. The players are making millions and billions. Everybody's good. Everybody's fine. But it's so much deeper than that. And again, it's all relative to how much you make. Like, if you make X, Y, and Z, well, then an $80,000 car is either nothing or I don't know if I can squeeze this off, right? With the mortgage and whatever it might be. So I get it. Like, it's a problem that only relates to the 1% of and I'm not within that 1%, and you're not at this point. And I'm pretty sure that almost all of the audience is not. I'm sure there's, one or two, that might be, but this does not appeal to the overwhelming majority. So it's a massive turnoff. But I do understand both sides. And I'm not trying to play the fence here. Trust me, I gave you, but just figure it out. Like, that's all I care about. But I do get both sides. Kurt Flood, going to courts, fighting for free agency, and then all of a sudden Reggie and Catfish in the mid-70s, and then many, a million players downstream benefiting from their blood, sweat, and tears, really Kurt Flood more than Reggie, in the courtroom. You can't just undo it. Like, you can't, that's it, that's done. So you got to fight. And even if we don't like the fight or the representation of the items at play by one side, you've got to at least understand they're doing their job. That's why, like arbitration, like when Schoolboy went to arbitration, he was asking for $32 million. I think the Tigers wanted to give him 19. He wound up getting, I don't think he got the full 32, but he got a lot more than 19. And even if you're Tarek Schoolboy with multiple Cy Youngs, the way it works, you go sit in basically a courtroom with an arbiter, and because the team's trying to squeeze every penny out of you, you basically, all you hear is what you can't do, not what you have done and what you do well. It's your deficiencies. If Aaron, when Aaron Judge was a free agent, Derek Jeter, Derek's a better example. Derek went through this with Brian Cashman, which is why there's always been a rift. And basically Cash said, hey, we love you, but there's a couple of other shortstops out there right now that we don't think that you're better than. So if you want to go out and get another offer, go out and do it. Like, business could get ugly. It does, and it often does. It doesn't matter how sentimental some people are. It is a cutthroat, I win or I lose type of business and world. And that's the long of it. That's the short of it. That's what's going on. Myself, because to tell you what I think is going to happen is almost a waste of time. Although I do think this will be an incredibly protracted and painful process going way into spring training. And I believe it's going to really negatively impact the start of the season. And I believe we're going to miss games. Like, that is my opinion. I don't want to not give you my opinion. But I also think that, I get why the players are digging in. And it's really hard to gravitate to one side or the other, right? I mean, it really is. Like, some of these contracts and some of these guys who get, 20, 30, 40, $50 million a year that don't even produce, that's where it becomes a turnoff for the fans. And that's more in our face because we watch them every night. We're not looking at the books of Hal and Cohen and the Dodgers and the Rogers Group and all the other teams that spend a lot of money. So I think we talk less about their profits. And what we tend to do is kind of gloss over the owners and hone in on the players. And is that really fair? It might not be, but that's the reality of it. Because, hey, if you're hitting 209, like Cal Raleigh, not that he's making massive money, but imagine if Cal Raleigh just signed the 7-year, $212 million deal after last year, finishing second in the MVP, and he's got a 538 OPS like he has. Who's going to hear? You're not going to hear from. They're not going to be yelling at Seattle's management. They're going to be booing Cal Raleigh, because that's the visible entity that we can, reflect our disenchantment toward. Yeah. But I do think, I don't know if we'll get there. I do, just as a general premise, I do like the idea of a hard cap, and I do like the idea of a hard floor. I think that it would be good for the sport. I really do. And if you can't, hey, listen, Hal said a few times, hey, if I can't win a World Series with a $300 million payroll, well, then something's wrong. No, they got over a $300 million payroll. They haven't won in a while. So something is a little bit wrong. But it's a lot more wrong with teams like the Pirates and some other teams that just take, revenue sharing and everything at the gate and the concessions and the parking and the TV rev and all that other stuff that they get, and they don't reinvest it back into the product. Like, to me, that's the bigger issue. So that's where we're at there, J-Rod.
Crazy. And buddy, do you think there's even like a slight chance this gets resolved before the next season?
No chance.
No chance.
No, I don't think there's any chance.
Damn.
I'll say like 1%.
That is brutal.
I'll say 1% because there's never 100% certainty with this stuff here.
Sure.
But again, you've got to look at previous models. And again, if there's one thing to take away from this conversation, like when you're talking to your buddies, you're playing golf this weekend, and if I was listening to BT or I heard this, I read this from Jeff Passan, and you really stop reading after one paragraph, because then you start. And I didn't stop reading, but at that point I was glossing over stuff. I'm like, oh God, I hate this stuff. When you have the conversations, whenever you have them, right? All you have to know is this: the biggest problem is it's not money, it's a system. And one group is trying to protect it, and the other one is trying to take a bulldozer to what the other group built for over 40 years.
Yeah.
And that is an inherent, deep-rooted, systematic division that is not going to be resolved by December 1. That's why I said, once it expires December 1, guaranteed lockout. Now, that doesn't mean that spring training or I should say opening day is absolutely in peril. Well, then it's time to get serious. Like, this is all show stuff. This is all posturing, public sentiment. Let me get out my message. All right, here's the proposal. Let's refute this. Here's the legal mumbo jumbo. We've got a job to do. I understand it all, and I respect it all. I really do. There's going to be a time to get serious, and that time's not going to come until the CBA expires. There will be no resolution. That I'll say 100% before December 1. So does that answer it for you, Jay?
Yeah, that answers it pretty clearly.
All right.
Which,
by the way,
brutal answer.
Just to get away from the negativity of what an impending work stoppage, that is one of the many reasons why they not just the Yankees, but others, but really specific for this, the Yankees need to do whatever it takes to put themselves in the best situation to get back to, and to win a World Series for the first time since 2009. Just imagine this. Aaron Judge is 34. All right, Garrett Cole is 35, 36. Actually, might be a little bit more, 35, 36, right? Even though it looks great, there's a fallibility with pro athletes as you start to get toward that, certainly mid-30s, even for many early 30s. If you're not taking steroids, and those guys aren't. That generation is over, we think. So I'm sure there's some guys pushing the envelope, whatever, but I believe those guys are obviously clean, right? Same for the Mets with Juan Soto. The Mets have, after this year, they got 3 more years to figure it out, because after that, Soto could opt out. And if this keeps up, even though he's hitting, he has been on a rampage right now. You wouldn't know it by the Mets record, but Soto has been doing incredible stuff, as Met fans know. They've got to impress upon him whenever they resume baseball in 2027 that they are moving in the position where he would want to stay and not opt out. Now, if he does opt out, we know that the Mets can control him, $5 million more. He can't go anywhere. So if the Mets don't want him to leave, he literally cannot. And there's, deeper things that I think he would have to consider given, 3 years from now, his age. And if he did opt out and the Mets did not match that, who's giving him that contract? The answer is nobody. But those are the things you got to look at, like that window of, that most opportune window here. And to me, if you really believe, and I do, you're going to have a truncated 2027 season. And, there's levels of truncation. You can miss 20 games. You can miss 90. You can miss everything. I really don't know. But imagine a 2027 season where, Aaron Judge and the Yankees, as he's now 35, a year older, say if the Yankees don't win it this year and they play 70 games, whatever it might be, the window's shrinking. The opportunity is very quickly dissipating. So to run out a lineup every night with a McMahon and a Wells and whatever they're doing so far, I know it's looked a little bit better lately here. It's just not good enough. So that's motivation for the Yankees. The Dodgers are always motivated. The Mets have spent them a lot of money. They stink. Toronto has spent a ton of money. They stink. Atlanta spent a lot of money. They're good. Philly started terribly. They're going to be a real player as this thing goes on. There's not a doubt in my mind. San Diego spends a lot of money. Very good. Very viable. Like those teams are going to, and maybe I don't want to say less motivation for the Dodgers because they've got 2 straight, but their motivation is to further cement their dynasty, with back-to-back-to-back. So a lot at play. And, if you allow it to take away from the joy in as you watch the sport, I get it. I don't think you're going to hear, not that they'll never broach it, but you're not going to flip on SNY and hear Gary, Keith, and Ron go chapter and verse into this. They'll gloss over it, probably, I would think, present it to you a little bit. Same with Kane, O'Neill, and Coney and those guys. But they're not going to do a radio segment about this impending doom and call the games. But, as you call the games, as you watch the games, understand it is very much in peril. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks here. And the funny thing, too, is, though, it's not perfect. You can have a cap. You can have a floor and all that stuff. Look at the NBA. Now tanking in the NBA is different because it's a much more visible reward. If you tank in the NBA, you've got a chance to get an all-time player. Now, it's a little different now, more of a projection. Kids are a lot younger. It's like it's Patrick Ewing coming out or somebody like that. And everybody thought Zion would be that guy. Injuries have robbed him of so much. So you never really know. You're not going to really tank in baseball even if it's the greatest, high school prospect of all time, there's just no assurances. And there's a litany of examples that underscores that over the years. Todd Van Poppel, many others. Brian Taylor for the Yankees back in the day, whatever, 90 or 91, the lefty. Fook your couch. Judge becomes the veteran piece, not the star of the team. Ben Rice would be, I'm assuming. Well, great, but I'd rather have like the best swing and another really good swing when Judge is still at the apex of his powers. And by the way, and I did this last week. I know he's got a lot of home runs. I mean, I'm not saying he's not. I'm asking the question and broaching the possibility that, there's just a slight diminishment in Aaron Judge. He can't figure out the ABS. He's on pace for 210 strikeouts, which would by far be the most he's ever had. Swinging and missing a lot more than he's ever done. The RBIs are very low. I know, byproduct of what's on in front of you, understood. But, I'd much rather have, an ascending, terrific Ben Rice and a Superman Aaron Judge, not to mention Belly and somebody else that you bring in, than a diminished Aaron Judge and an even better Ben Rice than now. Because to me, I don't think, I'm sure that Ben Rice will never get to the level that Aaron Judge has been at. And then if Judge slips, and, he's eventually going to, and when he slips fast and hard, well, now is it the same? Like Superman Judge and really amazing young Ben Rice, or really, better Ben Rice, but not quite Superman Aaron Judge, and a decaying Aaron Judge? You tell me, what's the best situation? I just told you the answer. It's now, so the pressure to do this is off the charts, absolutely off the charts. I'll tell you, and I wish I had a little bit more faith in Rob Manfred. I really do. And then, you've basically got an interim labor boss here. It's just not a good situation. I mean, it's really not. Can we get Trout? I brought that up. Listen, when I saw Mike Trout play at Yankee Stadium, and I know he's not even close to being what he was, but he kind of threw back time a little bit. I really do believe, now you'd have to get the Angels to eat some of the money, whatever. I believe you take somebody like Mike Trout and you throw him in front of 40,000 people every single night in the Bronx, and you thrust him into a high leverage, just, let's go, like October feel. I think you get the best version of Mike Trout for a month or so, and then obviously, baseball's baseball. Even Alex, when he was young, had some quiet postseasons. Aaron Judge has had some quiet postseasons. Griffey, Willie Mays, Ted Williams. I don't care how great you are. You're not getting, even Derek Jeter hit 370 every single series. So even that's not a guarantee. I'm just trying to stack as many pieces as humanly possible, right? If I'm in a position to conceivably win a World Series this year. And then the other thing I'm doing, if I'm the Mets, another week of the Mets here playing, bad baseball, you lose 4 out of 5, another 10 days, you lose, 3, you win 3 of 9. Then I'm just selling pieces. I'm getting rid of Peralta. I'm getting rid of a few players. And then I'm stripping down. I'm going a different direction. So it's a lot to consume and it's a lot to process. Nobody's letting this get in the way of the Knicks joy and the Knicks ride and the Knicks fun. But this is a big story. This was the first salvo that was fired. All right. MLB presented what they presented. The players union basically said, yeah, okay, that's cute. Nice try. Next. And that's basically where we are. It's where we are. What are we having an issue with Alex? I mean, was he not how to use? Can he use technology? What are we doing?
I sent the message. So
I
said, listen, get that camera and microphone up. We'll start the intro whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so, man, let's go. I got to get my guy Alex on. Come on.
There we go.
All right. So without further ado, the guy owns the T-Wolves, one of the greatest players of all time. I love his Instagram videos, teaching, some of the aspects of baseball for the youths. And he can't figure out how to click on a link so we can see his pretty face. Let's get him up there. Is he suited up today?
I think I'm up there. All right. Finally, I am terrible with technology. I'm sorry, BT.
What's going on there, buddy? Welcome to the show, man. Great to have you back, Alex. What's happening, man?
And I'm getting over a little bit of a congestion, so I'm going to sound a little stuffy, but apologies.
All good. Where are you? Are you going to a wedding? You going to a funeral? What are you doing?
No,
where are you going?
I have a bunch of meetings. I'm at the apartment that you've been here in Manhattan. And I got a busy day, and then I go home to see the girls this weekend.
Yeah, one of your daughters just graduated, right?
She did. She
wow.
I'm no longer, they say empty nester, I say free bird. So I have
Hey,
one.
it's not that bad being a free bird, by the way, here and there, right?
So you got to come down and visit sometime.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things that we have to do. Oh, I do have to call you out for something a little bit here.
Please.
So you and I were talking, and I didn't know, Alex told me this privately, that he loves Joe Beningo. And he texted me about a week or so ago, hey, I would love, I watched your interview with Joe. So Alex checked in on the Unleashed channel, which I really appreciate. He's like, I watched it. Joe's awesome. I've always been a fan of Joe. And I'm like, hey, let's get out and play golf. Joe loves you. You love Joe, apparently. Let's make it happen. I put us on a text chain. Joe basically was he's like, Alex knows who I am. Alex likes me. He's all gung-ho. I put us on the text chain and crickets. I mean, I got the ball rolling. What happened to you?
No, what, BT, that's on me. I didn't see it. If you don't mind, put that to the top of my text. I'm going to jump in there today with some dates.
Okay, I will. All right, listen, I know you don't have a ton of time. We'll get you on down the road, longer conversation, young Alex, and all those things that I really do want to talk to you about. Some that I know, some that I don't. Before we get into the Yankees, so the difference here, I know you saw everything yesterday going on with the union and MLB. See, as you well know, there's money matters and then there's philosophical matters. And why this really worries me, the money could always be resolved, but MLB is trying to break down a system that the union fought for going back to Curt Flood, basically half a century. So to me, Alex, this is going to be really painful, with a salary cap. And I know it's an early read. How concerned are you? And then add whatever you want about this thing interrupting or basically wiping out 2027. What's going to happen?
Well, first of all, I think that, you got to give both sides credit, BT, because this is the earliest I've seen this type of active negotiation prior to the deal expiring December 1st. So kudos to both sides. I think, look, the truth of it is, and look, no one benefited more than me with, Curt Flood, Marvin Miller, of course, Don Fear, Michael Weiner, and Tony Clark to today's leadership. But the world's changed a lot, right? We didn't have Netflix. We didn't have YouTube where we are right now. We didn't have Apple TV or Amazon Prime. So it's different competition. Numbers are completely different. People have to remember, in 1986, when the ball went through Bill Buckner's legs, there was almost 60 million people watching those games, right? Mm-hmm. When we played the Red Sox in 2004 and we got beat after being up 3-0, there was about 35 or 40 million people. So it's just a different landscape. Mm-hmm. What I appreciate about what Major League Baseball is doing, Manfred and Dan Halem and them, is I think they're trying to present a system that collectively all players will make more. I mean, you can't have a system where 80% of the money is made by 10% of the players.
Yep.
You want a little bit more democratic. You want to, up the floor a little bit. And hopefully, if they can work together, regardless where this lands, they have to work together to be able to move the game forward.
But do you think they'll be able to? It sounds good, and I'm with you, but do you think they'll truly be able to work together? The division is massive on this item.
I don't know. And you're right. I mean, it goes back decades and decades of this, right? Yep. And the game, remember, when I entered the game in 1994, you can still say baseball was number one. And today, pretty safe, you can say that baseball is number three, although we've had an incredible last 12 months, which has been historic and great. But I don't think we're good enough to have owners working on their end and players over here. You really have to come together to try to make, take more of the market share. So I'm optimistic, but cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, and you're based on, your ownership with the T-Wolves here. By the way, really good run. I know you came up short. Sucks that our boy Dante DiVincenzo ruptured the Achilles. I know you love him, and we all love him as Knicks fans. Absolute dog. Love, great guy. But now I would imagine that, say, 25, 26, 27-year-old Alex Rodriguez still playing, still making all that money, which you obviously earned and deserved, would have a different mindset than maybe Alex Rodriguez now, who's on the ownership side. So you've got both at play. How do you is there a side, the ownership side or the former player side, that feels one side is a little bit more right now where we are?
I think you have to come at it, a little bit sober, BT. And look, when you look at what NHL, NFL, and NBA, the top four sports, it was always the big three. NHL's made a good run here. And you see franchise values going up for the NBA and NFL about 20% year over year. And the one that's hottest, believe it or not, is NHL, who they have Don Fears helped their union for the last, few years. That's gone up 27%. And you look at baseball franchises, it's only gone up like sub 5%. So as a player, you have to give players all the information and say, okay, how do we make, lemonade out of lemons? And you cannot work with a construct to think, okay, revenues are exploding like the NFL. The truth is, we've had a little bit of a slow meltdown here. How do we work together to raise the ceiling a little bit and raise the floor? So those are the issues. And if you're going to make decisions, you have to have the facts, and you have to make decisions based on those facts.
I want to ask you about some Yankee items here. You can give me a one-word answer, obviously. You can go a little bit longer if you want. My belief is, and I'm with you, that at least it's a little encouraging that they jump to the table now before, very early. December 1's a long time away. I don't think anything's resolved by December 1. That's just my opinion. And I also believe strongly that 2027 is either condensed, wiped out, to what extent. Do you believe, and it's a read from a distance, I got you, that right now, where we stand, this conversation, opening day 2027 happens?
I would say that cooler heads prevail, and I think both Rob Manfred and the players understand how good the game is doing now. And truly, the outcome that we're moving towards is going to be greater than any type of work stoppage. Because in '94, when we walked off the field, we were fortunate enough to have Cal Ripken streak, which was one in a million. You had Sosa against McGuire.
Yep.
And then you had, baseball explode again. But I don't think we can go to that well once too often. I don't think that well is there today in 2027.
That's well said. Like, nothing's going to save. Like, listen, I'm going to watch till the day I die. You know how much I love the game. Same with you. But there are a lot of people who's going to, at some point now, they're going to say, fuck this. I'm done. Like, I'm done giving. And they will not come back. They came back with McGuire and Sosa, you're right, and Cal Ripken, but I don't think that that's saving grace. I think that's a good point. I don't think that that's there. So figure it out. I don't care if it takes months. Figure it out. Okay. Nobody, and I've said this, I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. I think your baseball aptitude, and I've told you this, I think your IQ, I think your love for the game is second to none. I watch these videos. My son's 11. I love watching this stuff, man. And I really think that your evaluation of a swing is as good as it could get. So we see Volpe back, all right? We see a little bit of a flatter swing. Do you see a different Anthony Volpe?
And honestly, BT, I haven't seen enough of his at-bats. I've probably seen about a dozen. And so far, it looks like he's got a better approach. It looks like he's got a little bit better balance, and he's got a little bit less in his mind, right? The key is you have to control the strike zone in big moments, and you have to be able to defend, right? And you see how good the team did with Caballero there is because he brought an element that the Yankees lack tremendously, right? Is that fire, is speed, is the ability to bunt. He's got 13 bags. So if Volpe can play a Caballero type of ball, I think he could be very good.
Well, listen, Lombard is a name that I know that you know. I mean, I've only seen clips. He's in AAA, ripped through AA, good body, good instincts, could play short, third, second. I even told Boone, I had Aaron on 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. I said, you probably stick him in left field. He would do a more than adequate job. And he's starting to hit now at AAA. Do you think that there's a possibility, because I don't think McMahon's going to hit. I don't think that you think that either. I don't mean the occasional home run, but he's not that guy. No disrespect. He's not. And if you want to win a World Series, you can't have 4 or 5 automatic outs going out there every night like they do. Do you think the Yankees would be be open to potentially an infield, obviously Rice or Goldie at first, and then, from left to right, say Caballero and then Volpe, or flip them and Lombard somewhere in the mix? Do you think he's in play potentially this year?
I think anything's in play, especially if you have another injury, right? And, obviously Volpe's coming off an injury, Caballero's coming off an injury. So, when you, what's that deal they say, when you make plan, God laughs?
Yep.
I think that's the truth in baseball. You have to expect the unpredictable, and I think he is in play. The problem with that is, and you saw it with the Mets a little bit, you have almost $85 million in 3 players that have 10 home runs in Bichette, Seaman, and Polanco. And all 3 are basically playing out of position. I mean, Seaman used to be he's a good second baseman now, but he's older. Polanco's never played first base, and poor Bichette's never played third base. So and I can talk from personal experience, that's a very, very tough thing to do in the middle of your career. So I like more of a solid. Look, the Yankees are going to have BT, and we've talked about this on and off line. The Yankees are going to go through streaks where they win 11 out of 13. They're going to have streaks where they lose 6 in a row. And the haters are going to come out and the lovers are going to come out on both ends. The bottom line is this. They're 1-7 against teams over 500 or something like that. In October, they're going to have to beat good teams. And it doesn't matter if you win 94 games during the season. 94 is a new 88 because a lot of teams are not that competitive. So you can't rest your hat on that. And I used to remember sitting next to Stick Michael, and he said, the great Gene Stick Michael, who was obviously of the 4 championship teams with Cashman and company. But he always said, he's one of the greatest talent evaluators ever. He said, my barometer when I pick a player, if I'm looking at BT as a player, I said, what is he going to do in October, in late October, with a man on third and 1 out with a premier pitcher on the mound? And if your answer is he's going to strike out 8 out of 9 times, that player can't play here. Yeah, I think we've gone away from that a little bit, and I hope the team comes back to that more.
Well, I can tell you, if Stick Michael was evaluating BT, the player, that he would walk out of the field within 2 seconds. We don't want this guy because I would strike out with the man on third against really good pitching. Speaking of good pitching, and this is, this Yankee lineup, it drives me nuts. I can't stand it outside of really 3. And if Grisham's hitting 4 spots, too many dead spots, whatever, too many whiffs, too many empty at bats, non-situational hitters, non-contact. But the Yankee pitching, and I was saying this in April, and it was always prefaced with, if Garrett Cole is still Garrett Cole and everybody stays healthy, this Yankee rotation to me has a chance with, in any order you want, Fried, Cole, Schlittler, Fried, Cole, whatever, to be the best rotation. And even Rodon is a 4, okay, to be the best staff this century. I mean, you faced everybody, dude. Is there anybody in your history, and Pedro may have been the best you ever, but different change up. Who the hell does Cam Schlittler remind you of? I mean, this guy is untouchable, Alex.
And it's not a split, but it's Kurt Schilling in his prime when he struck out 300 guys. And I mean, Schilling was so good in Phoenix with the Diamondbacks. I think he struck out over 300 and walked under 20. Right.
Wow.
And he's a north and south guy, right? Tremendous leverage, very tall. You can say whatever you want about him as a person. He was an elite pitcher and a big game pitcher. And I think Cam has all those characteristics. The ball just jumps. And by the way, you and I were talking about last year how we loved him. I mean, in his first 2 or 3 starts, he has a talent that just jumps off the page. And I think you're right. The Yankees have the best pitching they've had in a long time, as long as they stay healthy. The other part that I like is you have 3 Cy Young potential guys at the top, right? Now Cole's coming back. He looks great so far. Fried is going to be Fried. I mean, Cam could be the Cy Young winner. But they also have Weathers and Rondon, and they have Hill. They have 4 or 5 lefties. That is paramount to have in October. So I do love that.
Yeah. Well, listen, Clark Schmidt's going to come back at some point. Will Warren's pretty good as well for a back-of-the-rotation guy. I mean, obviously you were a hitter, but do you think, and we haven't seen a ton of Weathers here yet, even though what we've seen has been really electric, and we knew he had that stuff in Miami, just couldn't really stay healthy, and he didn't throw as many strikes. Do you have, of those names, Weathers, Warren, Schmidt, LeGrand, perhaps, like, take 1 or 2 of those guys and put them in the bullpen, because this Yankees bullpen sucks. I mean, but I do believe, Alex, that it could be resolved internally. Do you have a candidate that you think could be a high leverage, maybe not 9th inning, because I don't think they'd take the job away from Bednar, even though I might, but take one of the guys I mentioned and have them go to the 8th inning? Is that as tough a transition? I can say, yeah, put Will Warren in the 8th inning, but is it that easy from a major league perspective to change roles that radically?
I think it has to do with the individual and the personality. You remember, just go back to Yankee history. We saw with Phil Hughes in 2009, who played a pivotal role in that 7th inning. You saw Mendoza do it a little bit earlier than that in the late 90s.
Jabba.
You had Jabba, who that was a little tougher because he was a big star. I think with big stars, a little bit harder because there's so much more attention. A guy like Mendoza and Phil can go a little bit more under the radar. But I do like it for like the middle innings, anything from 5th to 7th. I don't love it necessarily like in the 8th inning because those are prime outs in late October with a lot of eyeballs.
Alex, can you explain to us, and it's not like when a great player begins to diminish a little bit. There's not like some text message that goes out, all right, Alex Rodriguez or Pujols or Aaron Judge, 6% less of what he wants. Like you don't know. It just kind of happens. but can you explain in layman's terminology why a great hitter eventually starts to lose just a little? Is it he has to guess? Is it bat speed? Is it vision? You tell us, because I don't really know.
I think it's a combination of things. And that's, look, at the end of the day, whatever we're going to talk about here, the one question that's going to loom this franchise in the next 24 months is, you have Aaron Judge next year is going to start spring training at the age of 35.
Yeah.
And you just would want to you would lament the fact that you couldn't win a title or two with him as the greatest player in the world in the prime of his career. So that's looming on top of everything we're talking here. I think the way you help Aaron Judge is, look, the front office will tell you today that batting average doesn't matter. And when you look at the recent history, last year, 7 of the top 10 teams in batting average made the playoffs, including the Yankees. The top 3 teams in contact and batting average are 1, 2, and 3 this year. And you look at what Tampa's gone. They've done a Billy Bean job where they've gone contrarian in a world where front offices are chasing launch angles and home runs. Oh. Tampa goes soft contact, speed, putting pressure on defense, and they got the best record in the American League. So there's nonsense that batting average. I mean, look at the 1998 New York Yankees. They had no one hit over 30 home runs.
I know.
They had two guys strike out 100 times. You had Jeter at 119, and you had Paul O'Neill, I think, at 102 or 103, and the team hit 288. That was a pretty good Yankee team. My question is to this front office is not the Yankees. I'm talking about to the overall game. Is why not just copy and paste that? That's worked pretty damn good with good pitching. So I think so going back to Judge, you surround him with guys like Jeter and Johnny Damon and
Nobby for a couple of years. Yep, sure.
And Bernie Williams. I love what Ben Rice is doing. What's wrong with Ben Rice? Develop more of that, more contact, guys that don't chase, guys that are tough out. I remember sitting next to Stick Michaels in spring training one year, and I love Stick. I learned so much, and I know you're the same way, BT. You like to educate yourself.
I do.
And I said, tell me, Stick, what do you look for in players? He said, I like big, I like strong, I like guys, I love switch hitters. Those teams have 3, 4, 5 switch hitters sometimes. He goes, I can care less about home runs, but I love RBIs and I love batting average. And that's why I did not trade Bernie Williams.
Yeah. Well, think about this too. I'm with you. To me, listen, OPS, and I don't do it a ton, but I love the deep dive, whiff rate, barrel rate, squaring the ball. I love all that stuff. I can just eat it up, and I read that all the time, right? But not everybody's into it. I get that. So a lot of people look at OPS. All right, guys, got to know. Player X has an 853 OPS, but he hits 222. Well, number one, when you get to the postseason, you're not facing some schlep who's the 4th starter for some shit team. You're facing a stud. So the ability, and if you're a 223 hitter during the regular season, despite a high OPS, when it's the 7th inning and there's a man on base, it's a 1-run game either way, high leverage spot, I need the ball in play to get the guy in from 3rd, get the guy over from 2nd. And that's what's been lost in the game. And it drives me nuts when it's such a Neanderthal take for people to say batting average doesn't matter. When people say that, Alex, I honestly think they're among the dumbest sports fans in the world. It matters tremendously.
But it's almost like two political sides going at each other and nobody listens to each other. And I think there's a little bit of both, right? It's somewhere in the middle. I think analytics are fantastic.
Yeah.
But they're a guide, not a Bible. Now, look at this, BT. You have 120 champions in the history of the game, or so, call it 120. You've never had one team have one starter with a guy hitting with a one handle, meaning 150, 175, 192. There is a reason why the 1998 Yankees had a 288 batting average, 288. So am I saying that you have to be all the way to the Yankees? Not realistic today. But can you have a team that hits 265, 270? If Jeter was playing today, would you tell Jeter, don't hit 340 with, 14 home runs? I want you to hit, instead of 340, I want you to hit 160 and give me 28 home runs. Give me a break. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I don't even know if listen, the truth of the matter is, as great as Derek was, if Derek had the same exact skill set that he had in Kalamazoo, Michigan, I don't think he's getting drafted 6th overall.
Yeah, and I think scouts would pick today Joey Gallo over Paul O'Neill.
Yes. All right, I know you don't have a lot of time here. Is there any, if you were sitting, I know you have no interest in managing as much as you love the game. If you're sitting in the Yankee dugout, is there anything you would do different, whether it's lineup construction, anything philosophical? I know that there's a lot of in play organizationally, collaborative. I get that. But from Aaron Boone's perspective, is there anything you think he could do differently to squeeze some more juice out of this roster?
I've been consistent about my position on Aaron Boone. I think Aaron Boone has done an excellent job. He has a construct of a roster that's limited. He's got great pitching. He's done a great job handling that. He's got a great job handling the best player in baseball, Aaron Judge. And I think he keeps things loose. I think he protects his players, which is awesome. I'll tell you my one big complaint, not for the Yankees, but overall baseball, BT. I think we're spending too much time on iPads and not teaching kids the game of baseball. It upsets me so much when I see 3-4 times a week teams making the third out at third base over and over again, missing cutoffs. If it's like they've never seen a bunt. When you bunt a ball, the ball ends up in right field 4 out of 5 times.
Yeah.
So I would like to start teaching the game at the lowest, most fundamental level.
If you had a 10-year-old son right now, what would you be working on the most from a hitting perspective?
If he was a pitcher, he wouldn't be allowed to be, in front of a radar machine before his 16th birthday, because I don't want to create a rock thrower. I want to create a pitcher, someone that understands how to command the ball, have a secondary pitch. But early on, it'll be only fastball changeup because I don't want his arm to get messed up. And then as a hitter, he would not. If he says the word launch angle, I would throw him out of the house. If he tries to hit home runs, I'll throw him out of the house. I would want him to be like a Ben Rice, a really, really good hitter that just makes solid contact over and over again, doesn't chase, fights like hell, and competes like Don Mattingly.
Don, listen, we're singing this, and we both love Donnie. It's funny, too, because one other thing you should add to that, if he bat flips and when he hits a home run, his team is down 9-2, you got to take him out of the will, Alex.
I'll leave you with this one. We had in the old Yankee Stadium, I had the great privilege that Donnie Baseball was my hitting coach for a couple of years, and he was also a bench coach with Joe.
Yeah.
And we would go out to the Columbus room, which was right where the right field pole stood. Under that pole was the Columbus room, which was the old batting cage. It was awesome.
Okay.
And I was struggling for a bit, and Donnie and I are like 2 o'clock in the morning for 2 o'clock in the afternoon for a 7 o'clock game. And him and I are sitting in front of the tee, and we always talk for 5 minutes and think about what is the game plan. We put to bed last night, what are the learnings, and then what is the approach for today on the starting pitch and who we could possibly face in the bullpen. So it's just a little bit of a brainstorming session between the captain and I. And I said, Donnie, what do I have to do? You see my elbow dropping or you see my head moving? And he goes, Alex, only like Donnie can say, do me a favor. Tonight, just go out there and fucking compete.
Yeah, boy. That's right. My guy. That's
done,
my
done,
guy.
Done.
Fight.
That's it.
Oh, God. All right, man. Listen, I'm going to get you back on. We're going to do a longer form. I got to get into early. Yeah, your mom. I know how important your mom was and some of the things you talked about in the documentary, just stuff like that, a longer form, maybe pour a drink. You and I get to shoot the shit a little bit here. And I'm going to give you a warning, but it's a good warning, right? Just more of a heads up. When we do play golf with Joe, just understand that by the 4th hole, Joe will absolutely light up a doobie. I can promise you. Joe's going to be puffing away before we make the turn, dude. And I might join him.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
All right, man. Go hit the meetings. By the way, you rooting for the Knicks or who are you rooting for here?
Well, it's hard because, they're all my partners, right? But I will say this, that the Knicks winning and just walking around the city, it feels like every third person has a Jalen Brunson jersey.
That's right.
It's great for the city. It's great for the NBA. It's great for the NBA around the globe. And I got to tell you, the one thing I heard Michael Kay say this the other day, and I think it's true. When the Yankees are winning, it's the only team that unites the whole city. When the Mets are winning, the Yankees are pissed. When the Yankees are winning, some of the Mets fans are pissed. Islanders, Rangers, Jets, Giants.
Yep.
The Knicks are the only team that is the city's team and is the only franchise that has their building in the center of the greatest city in the world.
There you go. All right, brother. I'll get that text chain going again with Joe. Have a good meeting. Appreciate you hopping on. Great to have you, Alex.
All right, see you soon, brother.
There you go. There he is, AROD. How about the story with Dom? And I love
Come
that
on, bro.
because dude, you happy there? We got AROD, now we got J-Rod. Talk about a drop in production.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, come on now. This dude's in a suit. I got the beams of light coming from right behind me.
He just, I'll tell you, he is so buttoned up. He is so smart. Now, listen, whether it's the Christmas party, get him on the golf course, Alex can hang with the best of them for sure. But man, that guy, even like coming on the show. So I forgot to tell him to tell his cousin Nick what's up. So shout out to Nick. I love him. Great guy. And Nick and I were coordinating this. And obviously I text Alex, but Nick, hey, we send J-Rod send the link to Nick, and then Nick hook it up for Alex, whatever. And we were talking about like at the at the party and all that stuff. Like he is just so he craves information. And Nick is like, hey, Alex wants, what? Not that you can't ask him whatever you want, whatever. But yeah, get a roadmap. Like whether it's batting practice or getting ready for an interview or getting ready to present in front of a boardroom. I mean, a guy is just a machine. He is just mentally and physically, he's engaged, man. And you got to respect it. And what he just said about the Mattingly in the Columbus run, I never heard that story. That's great. You're having a rough time. And think about the conversations that are probably happening now, right? With a hitting coach and a struggling hitter, whether it's a veteran or a young kid. And it's going to be about, hey, your launch angle's 9 degrees off, and you got the laptop, and you got the iPad, and you're going through all this digital shit. And Donnie just says, dude, just fucking compete, man. That's it. Compete. And hitters know what that means. It means look for your pitch. When you get it, rock it. Barrel it. Smash it. Destroy it. When you get 2 strikes, choke up and make him be so much better and make such a tough pitch that you go down and he just won the battle, which, by the way, in this sport is going to happen a lot. None of this other bullshit nonsense, this, that, your arm, your angle, your foot, your head, your hips, your ankle. Just fight. Just compete. And I could picture Donnie saying that. And you could just picture Alex yesing him to that. Yep. All right, let's go. I got you. Let's go. And that's one of the differences that's probably the biggest difference between today's hitters. And back in the day, there was a shame in going back to the dugout, striking out. And I said this the other day. It's like, now these guys don't even care. Number one, there's no penalty. Like, it doesn't matter. Like it goes unchecked. He struck out twice. He's still batting first. Struck out 3 times. I don't mean if you judge or like a Soto, but a guy who's, not hitting well, but all right, I'm going to still run him out there in the 5-hole, run him out there in the 6-hole. I mean, it's absolutely, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, the focus and the disparity in what's acceptable and what's not in Major League Baseball from a hitting perspective. It's depressing, really. And it's not one of those things where, back in the day, it was so much better. But it was different. And because it was so much different, the approach, the expectation, the repercussions when you didn't do your job, it was better. And that's just not the old man on the lawn, the OG saying unk, as some of you guys call me. Oh, it was better back then. That aspect was undeniably better. What do we got here? Tage 1. What an interview. AROD's bleeping great. Good questions, BT. Hey, listen, by the way, when we get on Alex next time, and you heard what I said to him, it's going to be, I'm probably doing it at night, where he's got a good hour. I'm going to pour myself a nice scotch. He'll pour himself a nice scotch. Maybe even after the 3 of us play golf, so we'll have some stories. How about that, J-Rod? Me, Alex, and Joe Bengo teeing it up. And we got to get a 4th as well.
Dude, well, I loved your last line about the joint, because you could kind of see he was like a little apprehensive but dude, I mean, the stories that could come from a day like that would just be so great. I mean, you've got kind of the buttoned up, but obviously the legend, the great AROD, and then you got the maniac, that's Joe B. Yeah. And then you got you're like a perfect middleman for the situation. You're like, yeah. Oh my God.
Perfect middleman. Definitely not a legend, but closer to a maniac. That is for damn sure.
Legend, I'd say. I'd say
stop. I mean, I know you try to be a legend. I mean, come on, man, stop. We're just, we take pride in what we do. We're trying to build this thing out. That's ridiculous. And I will tell you though, like, having been around Alex, I wouldn't say when I met him from again, the story when he asked me to go to lunch. I wasn't nervous. I mean, I've been around, I was next to Tiger Woods. Like, I'm not trying to name drop. Like, I'm not overwhelmed in that situation. Although when I first met Mattingly, I was also 18 or 19 years old, and I was still playing. My idol, that's different. As
you met him at like a young age.
I did. And really, for me, I had him at the best age. And now I've interviewed him. It's been a while.
Okay.
Since as a broadcaster. But if you asked me, like, when I was 7, you said, hey, you're not going to make it to the Yankees, but you're going to be a broadcaster. And you go, and at that point, Mattingly wasn't even playing. You're going to get to meet your idol someday, who you tried to be as a player. Would you prefer to meet him at the age of 40 or 50 or the age of 18 or 19, knowing that I was going to play in college? 18, 19.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much more impressionable. And he was just so authentic and so nice. It's funny. I remember, now this is funny. This is cool. Maybe not funny, cool. So, at least cool to me. So I'm working at a day camp. Most summers. In college, I did a lot of construction, whatever, but in high school, and so maybe I was still in high school. Yeah, I guess maybe I was 17 when I met him. I was definitely in high school. So I remember I was out east at this day camp. I think it was called Adventureland, maybe. And I was a counselor. We took all the kids out there.
Adventureland.
Out in Long Island. Yeah. I think it was called Adventureland.
Dude, this it's ringing bells here.
I'm pretty sure it was Adventureland. I think it was. Anyway, I was out there out east. We did it like a couple of years in a row. And I had my group of like 12, 15 kids. It was awesome. They all loved me. I had a great time with them. And my best friend, Rob, his dad was the COO for Bulova Watches at that point.
Okay.
Not a bad job.
No.
And not bad connections, right? So Bulova, I don't know if it's still there. I don't know. But for many years going to the stadium, like somewhere near the scoreboard, the old scoreboard was Bulova, and like with an actual clock. I actually feel like I could still see it, actually, even in the new stadium. Either way, he had such access because he was so high on the totem pole, and the relationship between the Yankees and Bulova was so strong that he got invited, and obviously, his son, and he asked me as his best friend. He brought his girlfriend too. I'm like, why are you bringing your girlfriend, dude? Bring some girlfriend. Come on. Anyway, not only did we get to go on the field, watch batting practice, but we got to park in the Yankee players' parking lot.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is too cool.
Dude, so I get there. I think I left the camp early, man. Usually I would be on the bus with the kids wherever we're going. I think I drove that day because I was going straight from Long Island to the Bronx, which was not easy. Anyway, I park in the players' parking lot. I got there early, and then I had to leave the players' parking lot, but I was standing there. Every Pat Kelly, Mel Hall, Scott Sanderson, Charlie Hayes, obviously, I didn't see Mattingly roll in, but that was that team. They all rolled in, Barfield. And I remember the PR guy, I'm forgetting it may have been Cerrone. I feel like that's who it was. All I cared about was meeting Mattingly. I did, and I love the Yankees, but I had to meet Don Mattingly. And the guy, if it was Cerrone, gentleman, good guy, I'm like, where's Donnie? Where is Donnie? I didn't even see him on the field. I'm like, where is he? And he goes, listen, Donnie is great with the kids, young men, whatever. I wasn't a kid, but you know what I mean. Great with people,
of course.
But during the week, he's very routine oriented, and usually he only does stuff like this during the weekend. And I think it was like a Wednesday night. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, Mr. Cerrone, I'm like, hey, please, whatever, anything. So everybody started, and this Yankee team was awful. I mean, they were terrible. So they're like, nobody's even taking it seriously. They're all fucking around, like half stretching, laughing, like hats backwards. Absolute circus. Stump Merrill's team, right? So finally, and I'll never forget this, Mattingly walks out, and I'm in the dugout watching BP and watching these knuckleheads do whatever they're doing to get ready for a game. Mattingly walks up the 3 or 4 steps into the dugout, and I mean, there obviously wasn't, but in my mind, there was like this saint glow. I'm like, wow, there he is. And two things jumped out. Number one, how strong he was. Because you would see like Dave Winfield, who was 6'6", and a lot of guys who were built different. But Donnie was shorter. When he came out, I could not believe how thick his thighs were, and his forearms were like Popeye. That's the first thing I noticed, right? But he didn't come over to us yet. But I could still see from a distance. Then as he walked up the couple of steps from the dugout, and he had a bat in his back pocket, which I always tried to do, but could never do it the way he did it, right? As soon as he walked out, all the horseplay, all the, lack of care, immediately went away the moment they saw him and they started stretching as a team. I'm like, wow, right?
Yo,
Respect
that's
immediately.
crazy.
Then he comes over finally. I think it was Mr. Cerrone, not Rick Cerrone, the catcher, the other Rick Cerrone. Got him to come over, and I was just starstruck. And I've never been starstruck in my life, and I could barely speak. And I just remember saying something like, Mr. Mattingly, it's an honor. I played the same position. Then I start doing his batting stance. I don't even know what.
Oh my gosh!
I swear to God, and I joke around with my buddies. I'm like, if I didn't try to be Don Mattingly with his stance, I probably would have been better as a hitter. I'm doing this thing with his elbow. If you know, you know. Oh, I play first base. This is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's looking at me, probably saying, this kid's out of his mind. Such a gentleman, so polished. And I remember shaking his hand. And my dad taught me how to shake hands properly, lock eyes, give it a good squeeze, and come across as a wimp. And I've taught my son the same thing. And I tried to dig in. His hand, and he didn't even try. Dude, it was like a death grip, like a vice. I'm like, God.
That grandfather handshake.
Yes. So that was the only time I was definitely starstruck, nervous. I was probably sweating knowing me back then. But if I do play, and not if, when, we just got to figure it out. When me and Alex and Joe go and play golf, I will admit, I'm going to be very nervous having Alex watch me swing. I'm nervous when I'm teeing off at some uni, and like I happen to bump into a guy who's a fan of the show or a fan of mine. Oh, BT, what's going on? Hey, Yanks look good. Let's go Knicks. And like if I see him watch, I'm like, God, just don't duff it. Don't miss. Don't hit it 6 feet off, short of the ladies' tee. How do you think I'm going to be trying to hammer one with Alex staring down? Because I think that Alex respects my athletic ability on the lowest level. So because he's seen me throw, whatever. In his mind, he's like, oh, BT could probably stripe it. He's in for a bit. He's oh God.
Is he a good golf player?
Not good golf player. Is he a good golfer?
Good golf. Sorry.
No, it's all good. No, I don't think I can promise you he's 9 million layers better than me. And I can also promise you when Alex steps on a drive, he's going to launch it to the fucking moon.
Yeah,
he is going to destroy the golf ball. Beninka will be like, 168 straight off the tee. Lord knows I could be 6 inches or I could be 260 in the wrong direction. This guy is just going to launch it.
300.
Yeah. And then by round, by hole 4 or 5, you're going to have Joe doing what he's going to be doing. And then Lord knows what he's going to ask Alex.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Joe knows
so
how to handle
fun.
it. Yeah.
But dude,
that was cool, right?
So dude, my mind's blown. Literally,
Why?
I just watched a whole vid on this dude. Like, not my mind's blown. Like, I can't believe you were able to do this. Like, obviously, you guys have a relationship. More so just like I felt similar when we had Stephen A. I felt similar when we had Rick Pitino. Like, when you just see one of these guys on your on like your little screen, you're just like, bro, what is going on right now?
Yeah, no, I get you. I've been there too. Like, when I was your age, I get it. Listen, I get it. I respect it. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the things I love about you. Like, you're going through this stuff
still in the starstruck era of this whole thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, watching me every day certainly not going to get you starstruck, so I get it,
dude.
When we get Booney
bro.
and stop. When we get Booney and Stephen A. and Kay and AROD, that's legit.
Yeah,
Patino.
I guess, but I'm not glazing either, dude. I feel like I think that it's an honor to be able to speak to you on a daily basis. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I appreciate that, dude.
Of course.
I appreciate that. And more importantly, you work hard and you're doing a great job. But more big names to come. I really can't wait to have him on for a long session. I mean, it's because I think that you guys, and I'm going to tell him, don't wear a suit, dude. Yeah, just put a T-shirt on, pour yourself a little tequila, pour yourself a little scotch, whatever you're doing, let's go. A-Rod's got the ring, which is a must for Yankee legend since integration. Who are the top 5 Yankees without a ring? It is a No Rules Friday, so the ability to ask me whatever you want. Judge got to be one, but for BT, it might be Donnie because his team stunk. All right. Since integration, who are the top 5 Yankees without a ring? Oh, I mean, listen, Mattingly is not even close. Number 1. You know what really makes that tough is that all the great Yankees have a ring, except Mattingly and Judge. I mean, Mattingly, when he came up, Well, okay. I've got Mattingly would be 1. Dave Winfield would be 2. Winfield got to the 81 World Series, did not play well, hence the nickname, the moniker, Mr. May, disrespectful Steinbrenner, that whole stuff. Actually, I saw this morning, I was watching it, ironically. Winfield was on Up in Smoke with those guys. Barnes does now Jackson's really good too, but I think I've been seeing more of Barnes. They've got a baseball outlet.
Yep. I've just been watching
awesome.
Those recently. They're really good.
I want to get on that show.
Yo, that would be great. That would be great. I mean, it's totally
that's your job. So I'm still waiting for Rogan. I'm still waiting for Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I'm still
all right. Well, listen, before Rogan, you hit Up in Smoke.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. A little bit more attainable. No, that show's good. And Winfield was talking again about just how miserable it was. Life as Yankee. I remember. It's funny. Everybody's like, "Oh, BT's got a story for everything." It's not like I'm trying to purposely pull stories. It's just a point of reference, which I hope you guys enjoy. And I'll answer that about the Yankees without a ring in a minute, or try to. I don't know if there's any other names, but what the hell? The years are a little blurred. I'm going to say probably mid-2000s again. So I'm with 1050 ESPN Radio, and I was up in Bristol, maybe doing Outside the Lines, or maybe filling in for Colin Cowherd, something like that. And I was having lunch in the Bristol cafeteria. It was actually pretty awesome. Like, there's Stuart Scott, like, rest in peace, legend. There's Dan. Dan wasn't there. Dan was not there. But I pretty much saw everybody, and it was just awesome. Saw Berman, and I guess Winfield was doing something for Baseball Tonight or whatever with Carl Ravage, and Winnie was sitting by himself in the cafeteria, and I'm like, I'm gonna go sit next to Dave. I don't know anybody. It's like the first day of school. I don't know anybody. I don't know if he knows anybody. I know they know him. I know they don't know me. So let me go sit next to the big dude who's sitting by himself, Winnie. And I did. And he was so cool. And I asked him about all the, I had to get some answers here. I'm not just here to fanboy. I got to get some answers. And he went deep on the Steinbrenner stuff. I don't need to get into it now, but it was an open book. And that's why George, complex legacy, amazing, equal parts. I couldn't wait till he was gone. Like, when he was suspended and banished from baseball, I was actually happy. All right, that is really one of the tougher questions I've ever been asked here. Top 5 Yankees without a ring. I mean, I just have to think about when I started watching them. You all know that the 70s, I didn't watch those championships. 81 is when I started really watching, hence Winfield. Donnie, number 1 for everything. Favorite athlete, Donnie. Who'd you want to be? Donnie. Best Yankee without a ring, Donnie. Who should be president of the United? Donnie. Best hitting coach, Donnie. Donnie 1, Winfield 2. Now I got to get into that territory like, okay. Donnie 1, Ricky Henderson 2. Ricky 2. Winfield 3. Now, Guidry was on that team, but Guidry won in the 70s, won 20 games in the 80s, I believe, twice. But so Guidry is not there. Goose was there, but you know what? I'm going to throw Dave Righetti on that list. Dave was on the 81 World Series. They did not win. He was not there in the 70s. He was way gone by the dynasty. Righetti. It's actually a better list than I thought. Donnie, Ricky, Winfield, Rags, and maybe, who's texting me here? Maybe one more. I'm thinking Pagliarulo, and I love Pags, but that seems a little bit high, Outfielders, guys that maybe weren't there that long, pitchers. I guess maybe I have to. My default is early. Maybe I've got to go. Maybe I've got. What the hell am I doing? I got to go later. Obviously, Judge is excluded. Garrett Cole. There you go. Garrett Cole. That's the answer. Donnie, Ricky, Winfield, Rags, Cole. No water. Mel Stoudemire. Yep, he was. Obviously for me, Mel was always the pitching coach. But yep, pitched in the 64 World Series, 64, 65, mid 60s. Lucina, Cole, Righetti. Yeah, there you go. All right, there you go. That's a great question right there. So it is a No Rules Friday. Anything else you want to ask here? Who's the next big guest we should chase down here, Jay? What do you think?
Dude, you were saying the Marbury. Listen, I think the biggest thing, and it'd be tough because it'd have to be Monday or Tuesday.
Yep.
trying to get a current Knicks player on.
It's going to be impossible. I'm not going to lie to you. That's going to be impossible.
Hey, I know Deuce McBride's doing a interview today.
Who is he on with?
Adam Pac-Man Jones. So,
right.
And that podcast is
athlete to athlete. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's I guess it's a little different there. I mean, any former Knick next week, not current Knicks. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it would be, especially in the 2 days leading up to game one. I mean, that would be impossible, bro.
I just know how it works, and I'm realistic. I'm not saying,
listen, Marbury would be great.
I sent him a text yesterday.
A dude like Lynn would be really good. That would be really good.
Well, Lynn's gonna save the stuff for the Carmelo stuff. I don't have Lynn's number. I texted Steph, didn't hear back yet. I told you privately. I'll say.
Don Mattingly.
I mean, he's busy managing the Phillies.
Yeah,
I don't have his number. That would be more of an off-season thing, I think.
Okay.
Because I want to geek out with the Yankees. I don't want to really talk about the Phillies, although, of course, I would acknowledge the great job he's done and talk a little Phillies. But I did text Jay Wright. Yes, I told you this.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Texted Jay, got back to me pretty fast. He said he knows he remembers me, knows about the show, would do it win or lose after the finals, which I would still have him on, but it kind of takes away from.
Yep. People are saying Tibbs.
Tom, I mean, I was basically saying Tom Thibodeau should get fired. Tom Thibodeau. I mean, not basically. I did that they should move on from him. Tom Thibodeau's not coming on. What about Mike Breen?
I mean, listen, that'd be great. That would be. Listen, I'll try to relay the message when I talk to him.
No, I'll shoot Mike a text.
Oh, okay. You got his number.
I do have his number. I know we have Alan Hahn next week at some point.
Yep. I mean, that'll be sick. Nick legend. Okay, here's another dude, and I'm sure some of the fan had him on recently. This would be kind of a guy I think he'd interest both you and I.
Okay.
So have you seen the guy on Instagram? He does the Knicks music. He does
Billy
the
Joel.
Song. Like, no, not Billy Joel. Like the Billy Joel?
Hang on.
No.
No. There's a guy on TikTok. Right? Who composes. I came across this ironically yesterday. So I know you're talking about something different. I want to hear about that in a moment.
Okay.
This guy's amazing. It's one of the most talented things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Wait.
I'm also a Knicks fan, so obviously I'm a bit slanted. But number one, he's at a piano, and he has written and composed Knick lyrics to fit actual Billy Joel songs.
Wow, that's cool. That would be a good.
How do you do We Didn't Start the Fire, Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red by Johnny Ray, South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe Dem. I know every word to that song, by the way. If he could do that, he is a master.
Mm-hmm.
I heard, was it Piano Man? Yes. And he hits, he hits that. Yeah. And his piano skills or pianist skills, you're the musician here, whatever. He's phenomenal. You got to check this dude out on TikTok.
Okay.
He's really good. Now, what were you thinking, Jay?
So my guy, he's pretty popular. His name's Doug Lust. And
Doug Lust? What is he, a porn star?
No, he has a funny name. But he does every single Knicks game. He does very similar thing. He does like a cover of a popular song. Usually it's like a 90s rock or rap or 70s rock song. So kind of, up the thing there, up the taste. What's the word I'm looking for? Freeway.
Yeah, and I got it.
And yeah, he's like kind of blown up over the past couple of months. He does like Knicks songs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of his vibe. I think he performed at one of the games.
I have not heard that performance yet. Get Sal on. I was texting Sal yesterday. I mean, listen, guys, I know you want that, and we're not opposed to it. We're just doing our own stuff. I was texting him something about it yesterday. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not trying to hide from that, but I'd get him on. I'm busy and he's busy. What about this here? Bobby Mercer never won a chip, but I didn't see. Well, I did see him playing '83, but no, that Bobby Mercer is Michael K's favorite player of all time. So I'm sure that would be number one for him or Mattingly. Mercer did not get a ring. Mercer was on some early '70s Yankee teams when they were just beginning to construct like the late '70s. He was there with Lou, Thurman, Roy White, and then Mercer. Yeah, no, Mercer did not win a ring with the Yankees. He did not. What else? Get Ron Darling on. Yeah, Ron's been pretty outspoken. I can get Ron on. I don't know if I need him right now, but Ron is that SNY booth's going to be interesting if the Mets don't pick this up. I mean, it's always interesting. They're pretty good, but I did text. Here we go.
Oh,
I did text Big Mike the other day at City Moons. I don't have Keith's number. I'd love to talk shop with Keith. Mike did not yet get back to me. However, that's Mike. Like, Mike is not a quick texter backer.
No, it makes sense.
And last time I texted Mike before that was probably, he actually texted me something about St. John's. And then, so maybe March, and then maybe a brief follow-up, maybe at some point in April. Yeah, we don't text very often. But I did ask him. I think I told you guys this on the air. I saw him at the UConn Johnny's game at the Garden with the son. And we were, talking a little bit on the court. And I said, I'd love to have you on my show. And the first thing he goes is about talking about FAN. I'm like, I don't want you for FAN.
Yeah.
I don't need you for that. And I would never even broach it. Mike doesn't talk about FAN. He doesn't talk about WFAN.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, he did his thing, and Mike has moved on. And some people are very sentimental. Mike's not that way. I know he appreciates and is obviously very proud of his great accomplishments at FAN, but he's not. And I've moved on from FAN, and at some point you have to, but I'll still talk about it, wistfully here and there, and great respect for the station and, most of the people there. But I'd love to get him on to talk Yankees, and I'd really love to have him on to talk Knicks, because I think Mike would be great. Hopefully he gets back. I'll shoot him another ping. I'll hit him up at some point. But see, to me, and I can't answer this. My dad could, others could that saw it. I'd love to get somebody who watched, that 73 team and the 69 team, because there's a lot of comparisons, not just because they're trying to win their first championships in 73, but if you go back to the 94 team, there was never once a comparison made to those teams that won with Clyde.
Really?
No, because it was stylistically, it was totally different. The Knicks would just beat the shit out of you, and hopefully Pat would drop 25 and get 13 rebounds, and they would win. Those Knicks teams were, a model for unselfishness and ball movement, and really embracing roles and intellect. And I'm not saying the 94 team was dumb, but it was just a different view. It was more blunt force and trauma in the mid 90s, where with Clyde, think about how Bill Bradley went to Princeton. I mean, DeBusschere, Clyde, one of the great minds of the game for a point guard, and one of the best point guards ever. That's what I think would be really interesting with Mike. So, hopefully we'll get him up at some
I saw such a great clip of him. It's not really sports. It's not really a sports related clip. It was Mike Francesa reacting to. Do you remember? I mean, this is so dated, but like 2016. Harambe, like the gorilla with the kid in the enclosure, the whole thing.
Yes.
There's like a clip of Mike, and he's like, "Why are we talking about a gorilla?"
Yeah. No, I know. Well, it's funny because nobody gives a eulogy like Mike. I mean, that's kind of like a running joke on social media, where if somebody passes away, and I don't think it's his intention, but it just comes across as incredibly callous. Like I don't think he's meaning to do that, but there's a lot of stuff like that. I mean, some of the clips with Mike are just all-time legendary stuff. I got a fun No Rules Friday for you. Who do you think had the best pitches of all time? You can ponder that we'll keep that up. Let me actually jot this down here. So we're going to go fastball. We're going to go change. Excuse me. We're going to go deuce, and we're going to go slider. Wow. Fastball. Actually, let me start with the changeup. To me, that's the easiest one. It's Pedro Martinez. All right. Change up Pedro. Curve. This is more of what I heard. I saw him, but I don't know that I didn't see vintage. Burt Blyleven was a guy, and he finally got in the Hall of Fame. Whether he fully deserved whatever, kind of on the fringe for a long time. 280 something wins, got in. Basically, everybody said Burt Blyleven's deuce was the best that they've seen. So I'll lean on history a little bit there. I mean, fastball, you want to say, Walter Johnson. In terms of what I've seen, it's Chapman. I don't know how you say anybody other than Aroldis Chapman, who dialed it up to 103, 105. Now you're seeing that a little bit more in 102, 103 here and there. Miller, obviously, relief pitcher. I'm going to say Chapman with the fastball. So Chapman heater, Pedro changeup, Blyleven curve, slider. I know Guidry had a wipeout. No, Randy Johnson slider. Because the difference, the slider is supposed generally, let's say you throw 95, which is not incredibly fast nowadays, amazing as that sounds, and it's true. Like back in the day, growing up, guys throwing 95, fastball, four seam, that slider is generally going to be like 86, 87. All right. Like a hard slider, but Randy Johnson's slider was more 90, and it just horizontal, that late second tilt. I don't know how any lefty ever even fouled that thing off. Yeah, I'll go with that. I mean, listen, there's a chance. You know what? I got to change something here. I was going to say at some point when I get off the air today, I'm going to lament one of my answers. All right. I am good with Chapman. I am great with Pedro, the changeup. I am great with Johnson with the slider. I'm going to amend my curve because I want it to be somebody that I saw. The best curveball that I ever saw was Dwight Gooden. It was off the table. I remember that's the first time I heard the expression, like 12-6, off the table, drop it off the table. Some curves kind of come in like this. Dwight, and I could still see just the montage of strikeouts seared in my mind early on with the Mets, like whether it's like Bonds or, like a Ron Say or some of those good Ryan Sandberg, like just some of those good players from Bob Horner with the Braves. He just recently passed away. Rest in peace. Dale Murphy, his curveball. And it was made so much better because his fastball, I don't like, that's the thing too. You talk to a lot of people and I know there's two different types of radars and two different measurements. There's a lot of guys who played the game at the highest level who don't believe that guys are throwing 102, 103. They don't believe it. Now, I don't know, like if Dwight Gooden is pitching right now and he's 21, and I don't mean like if he would have been chasing velocity like the young players do now. I mean, literally, if you took his best fastball that he ever threw in his life as a young Met and the measurements were the same as today, there's nobody that can tell me, I'm not going to believe you, that Dwight Gooden didn't touch 100. And a lot of guys who faced him would say that. I can't prove it. That's my belief. But I say that to illuminate his curveball. Because that thing, I don't know how hard he threw it. They didn't have the guns up. I would have to guess it was probably 82, 83, something like that. So imagine being conservative, a 13, 14, 15 mile per hour disparity fastball curve. And it wasn't like, like a little bend. It was shoop right off the table. Just look at the highlights, YouTube, but if you never saw it. So I got to go Doc. I got to go vintage Doc with the curveball. It's a good question. Let's see what else we have. By the way, we've got the Jets Collective coming up at 2:30 today. So I don't want to. Now he's awake. Look at him.
Chill.
Episode 11. Chill. Episode 11 already. That's crazy, huh? Episode 11.
Yeah,
wow,
dang.
Time's flying. Before you know it, we've got that Atlantic City Jets convention, July 11th.
Literally.
What else do we have coming up? I've got Borelli's coming up Wednesday, game 1. Whoa, he's ready. That's gonna be fun. It'll be a pain in the ass getting out there with traffic. Most of the appearances have been on the weekend, so I got to figure that out. But that's a me problem. I will be there, bringing a couple of buddies too. What else do we? I saw that Sal's got an appearance. Good for him. That'll be fun. I think it's up in Newburgh, which is a hike.
Yeah. I know. I saw that. I was like, Newburgh's like, that's a bit of a distance. That's like closer to like, it's like 45 minutes from Connecticut type deal, northwest or whatever it is.
Yeah. I would go through Newburgh when I would take that. Sometimes I would take the oh God, not the Hutch. What the hell was that? That little tiny highway that I would take that I actually liked, but it was dangerous. Geez, it was on Seinfeld too. I hated it. It was like one lane, and you can go fast. Like that. Jeez,
because is it the one you would?
I got it. The Taconic.
Yes, of course.
Every time going to Taconic, right? On Seinfeld, I lived it because I would usually, to me that was more scenic, so I liked going up to Marist that way. But the thing about that was you had the guardrail, right? And then you had like basically mountains because my son asked me, he's like, Dad, how do they make these highways back in the day? I'm like, they would basically get dynamite, they would blow out mountains, and then they would start building. So the mountains that they didn't blow out were like, there was very, very little shoulder. So it's like mountain, then it's guardrail, and it's car. And when I'm going up there 19, 20, I'm flying. But then, like, when I go up to Maris now, like with the family to watch a game, like whether it's football or basketball, whatever, or playing golf up in that area, I'm like, I ain't trying it. I'm not going to go as fast as I was going, man. This thing's a little nerve wracking. But sometimes I would also go the other route, which was through Newburgh, which was less frequent. And you had the shopping area, the outlets up there, which were great. And it's far. I saw that. I'm like, wow, he's going up to Newburgh. So good for him. That'll be a good time. I think it's at a brewery or something.
Nice. Let's go. That'll be fun.
Obviously come to mind instead of Sal's, but. Oh, did you see the clip? Did you see the clip of Sal?
Which one?
Where he was saying, the whole thing, Mike Clown.
Oh yeah, I saw the clip.
Yeah, no, he was swearing that he was saying Mike Crown.
No way.
He's obviously messing.
Oh man, I could say something totally off base.
No. He's messing around. Like I think in his mind, I think he's preparing. I think if the Knicks win the championship,
he's got to put it, dude. He's got to put the Ronald McDonald on, bro. You've got no choice.
Well, I did text him. I texted him that I'm like, hey, I know you still have the Doink outfit from when you had to dress up as Doink.
Yeah,
and I had to dress up as Goldberg. So that's somewhere in one of the closets there. You got to go find it. But he could do that.
He's got no choice. It makes for good content.
Hold on. You say he's got no choice. Knowing him, although listen, he owns that stuff, which is funny. He could just bust out the Steve Cohen crown.
Oh man,
he tries to be cute here and thread the needle
Mike
in the middle.
Crown.
Yeah,
because it's funny. It's funny that he said that because I didn't know if you had ever. I don't know if like the idea of Mike Crown had ever come into your head because like I was just waiting until like either the Knicks won the chip or made the finals, but I was a little too late to bust it out to be like, and Mike Clown.
Yeah.
Mike Crown.
Yeah. Oh my God. What do you got going on this weekend there, buddy?
This weekend, good amount. I mean, Saturday I'm going to like and I'm not even like the big, like huge into this music, but like kind of like a 90s, like grunge music festival.
Well, like Nirvana, stuff like that.
The bands that inspired Nirvana. So
love
like
it.
Meat Puppets. I don't know if you know them or like
I
Dinosaur Jr.
I don't love them. I know, of course. Yep.
Yeah, they're more like that Seattle grunge era.
Anybody else?
Those two are playing, and then a lot of younger artists, a lot of newer artists under them. So super excited for that tomorrow night.
That's a difference.
Dude.
You don't like the grunge era? You don't.
No,
like
I mean, Nirvana's my favorite band of all time, hands down. Love
Kurt Cobain was. Ew, God,
dude, he's the best.
So
I mean, he's special, great songwriter. I love how their music, not just because it's like aggressive, but I just love how their music sounds. Like,
absolutely.
It's so raw.
They were aggressive, but there were also songs. Remember, the song Polly?
Come on now.
All right.
So that's the first song I ever learned on guitar. Like,
Polly
definitely one of the first three.
Think I should get off her first. Think she wants some water.
You know it. You got.
I love that song.
Okay.
No, I'm a big Nirvana guy. That sounds like a good night. Was that Saturday or tonight?
That's Saturday. Tonight, I mean, I'm going out. I mean, I don't know what the locale is, but I gotta get out. Last weekend was too much grinding to make it to AA, bro.
Yeah, I get it. No, I know.
This weekend we gotta start, putting some chances out there.
Yeah. I'm still waiting. Like we, the Unleashed family, still waiting for an update. I mean, it'd be nice if you get inside the red zone, but you got to step on the field first. You're not even at the coin toss yet, buddy. Come on, bro.
Yeah, no. So tonight, go out. Saturday, I guess also watch Game 7.
Yeah.
I will be locked in on that.
What do you think's the best matchup for the Knicks? I know we've talked about this
and this is tough. Like Avery asked a question too. Like injuries are starting to kind of become, and I know there's only one game left. So listen, the chances of something happening are low. But
I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Not want. I'm seeing. You're seeing the Thunder get banged up. Mm-hmm. You're seeing, Wemby get a little gas, get a little tired. Like anything is kind of possible at this point.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and the Thunder got waxed last night.
They got smoked.
I think the Knicks still match up better with the Spurs. I'm gonna go Spurs just because the Thunder still have that mojo and they have what the Pacers have. The Thunder have that devil magic in them. They have like evil powers working with them. So that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say the Spurs, but honestly, I'm getting to the feeling where I'm not confident. I think the Knicks could beat either of these teams, not handily,
Yep.
but
No, I
the
got
Knicks can beat both of these teams.
I agree with that. They absolutely can. I'm curious what the odds will be. We'll get to that when they know who they're going to play. But see, it's funny because I'm going back and forth a little bit as well. Now, and there's also two ways to look at it. What's the better matchup for the Knicks? And then what's the better matchup for the NBA? I actually think it's the same answer. I think the Spurs slightly better matchup for the Knicks. And I also think it's better for the NBA. They met in 99. Spurs have it, although, Thunder are defending champions. So there's that element as well. You got the MVP, downstream historically, that has a chance to look really good. But also Wemby's going to be an all-time player. So if you get him now and you beat him, that's on the resume forever. I will tell you, I'm not worried about Mitch. And if you guys just jumped in, we talked a little bit Knicks, talked a little bit about Oakley as well. Who continues to just dump on Patrick Ewing incessantly. It's ridiculous at this point. And I'm not worried about Mitch's finger, but there's no doubt he's going to play. But when he does play, and then God forbid it gets worse, and that he can't play, if you are playing Wemby, like you're going to kind of want Mitch out there 13, 14 minutes, 6 fouls, just to lean on him, because then if you have an issue with him, like just say if he's out, and you're playing the Spurs and he bangs that thing and injures it further where he simply can't play and he's got to have surgery right away rather than after the series. Well, now you better pray Cat doesn't get in foul trouble, which he's been doing a little bit the playoffs.
If he's
here.
guarding Wemby, it would be very difficult for him to not.
Sure. So we know that obviously OG's got great strength and great defense. He can go 1 through 5. He guards Embiid a little bit here. So I'm not saying that there's no options, but that would not be optimal. But let's get there first. Let's see who wins the game. Next week is going to be pretty much all Knicks and all NBA Finals, whomever they're playing. And that's that. If you guys missed the start of it as well, talked a lot about the impending. Well, first of all, the reaction, the first salvo that was fired by Major League Baseball, the reaction by the MLBPA pertaining to what I believe is going to be a treacherous absence of baseball and nightmare, which is going to really just strip away a lot of the joy here. We got problems coming down the road, and I explained it to you in very simple terms. So if you guys didn't get that, check it out, like it. And where are we at on the likes here, dude? I mean, we better have a decent amount of likes with Alex coming on.
Let me check.
I mean, this is getting out of hand here. Let's go. As Bill Belichick would say, do your job. Do your job.
Let's see.
Free button. I'm not asking.
Oh, we got to get it up. We got to get them up.
What the hell is it?
We're at 100.
That sucks.
We got to get them up.
That sucks. I'm not asking you guys to run a 15, an 8-yard in route, whatever, or a go route against Darrelle Revis from 15 years ago. Just hit the freaking button.
Straight up. I mean, hey, listen, it worked. We got a couple more.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, yeah. Good. I'm kind of messing around, but do your job. Like that part, I'm not messing around. To me, not exactly the best. There we go. My weekend tonight will entail literally all sports, and I can't wait. I mean, I've got the Jets Collective coming up in a couple of hours. What do you got? So my son's got a playoff game tonight at 7.
Sick.
Yep. That I don't coach this team, so I'll just be in the stands, with a couple of buddies watching in my chair, spitting seeds, right? Then tomorrow at, I think it's 12:30 or noon, I got to double check Game Changer, coaching my daughter softball.
Nice.
And then he's got a doubleheader for his club team. And
today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Tonight's is one for
I
one.
was going to say, oh my goodness.
No. It's just one game tonight. And after that, I'm going to my buddy's house, have a couple of beers with some of the dads. So that's tonight. Fun night tonight. Watch baseball, have a couple of drinks. Phenomenal. Home run in my book. Tomorrow, coach my daughter. Awesome. And her little girlfriends. It's so awesome. I love coaching the girls. And then I got to get it. I've got times like I got to run out, but I've got to eventually get him to Edison at this nice facility tomorrow for his club team doubleheader. And then Sunday for his other team, he's got another playoff game. I mean, it's literally, but then, I mean, the playoffs are pretty much over. Rec is still going on. What else? And then we've got the district and hopefully sectional all-stars and that stuff. But baseball season, and he's got a couple of tourneys with his club team, but softball's just about over. Things are starting to wrap up. I mean, school's almost over. It's crazy. And then they're going to drive me nuts. I'm going to be home every day. Let's see. My wife said, do you want to send him to this high school baseball kid? Yep, of course. Does he want to go? Of course. Yep, send him. Your daughter wants to. Yep, send her. Just get out. I cannot wake up. As much as I love him, It is a different speed because they're still at the age, they argue a little bit, and I hear it. I'm home all day. Send them to camp. Send them. Let's go.
Listen, my parents are the same way.
It's a good question. Last thing, was Gooden's curveball better than Barry Zito's? I think it was, because Zito didn't have the juice that Doc had, so I think it was a little bit more effective. You know what? So my answer is Dwight, and Barry Zito's a good call. A great left-handed curveball. I just want to see what they say. I gave you Gooden. I gave you Burt Blyleven. He just got Barry Zito. Best curveballs of all time. I'm just curious what list pops up. Let's see. Major League Baseball history. All right. We've got, come on. Why is it? All right. So you got Nolan, number 7. Why is this not going in order? Come on, guys. Make it easy. Jerry Koosman, number 10. Didn't see Koosman. Mike Aquala. He was part of the Orioles rotation that 4 guys won 20 games. Palmer, McNally. He was on that team. I never saw him pitch, though. Sal Magally. Wow. Giants. That's an old one. Never saw him pitch, obviously. Nolan Ryan. I wouldn't have thought Nolan as much. Ron Nicacci. I don't even know that name, from the Pirates a long time ago. Satchel Paige, never saw him. I'm sure it was nasty. Everybody talked about how great he was. Camille Pasquale for the Senators. Can we get some Dwight Gooden, number 3? Interesting. Burt Blyleven, number 2. And Koufax, number 1.
Wow. Okay, here's a question about in my journey of baseball, because bro, this weekend's about it. Yeah, that if you're asking what I'm doing this weekend, I'm watching 7 million YouTube videos. But like, is there a reason why when you look up pretty much greatest of anything in baseball, it kind of skews towards older players typically? Like when you look at the lists of like how players are ranked, it very often skews towards like people in like 40s, 50s, 30s.
Even before that, Babe Ruth. Yeah, no, sure. That's a really good question, Jay. My thought is that, number 1, a lot of the great baseball players have been implicated in steroid scandals.
Oh, okay.
Now, some people still put them on the list, obviously, but maybe they're not as high as they should be.
Yeah.
Whether it's Clemens, whether it's Alex, not that McGuire will be a top, but obviously Bonds, McGuire, a power guy. I think that that's part of it. It's also been around a lot longer than the NBA, which was born in 46. Baseball goes back to the 1800s. Football, I feel like you get a pretty good mix. The Bradys, Montanas, Lawrence Taylors, Jim Browns. That's
of course. Syracuse legend.
Yeah, there you go. Played lacrosse too, I think, right?
Same with Ernie Davis, my guy.
All right, Ernie Davis. There you go. It's a good question. I don't have the exact answer.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I figured I'll look into it, I guess, just because. Yeah, like every time I've seen, I'm just looking up like who's the best, whatever pitchers, top 10, all time, and just it's not rare, but like it's usually like 7 really old school guys, and then 3 newer dudes.
Well, the other reason, just to stamp that on the back end here, is that baseball is more numbers oriented than any sport. So, which is even the most cursory look, wins, Cy Young, Walter Johnson, all these ridiculous win totals, like all those strikeouts. There weren't 5-man rotations. Guys would basically pitch every other game, so they pitch more innings, more strikeouts, more wins, and that's going to kind of skew because the statistics and the records reflect the entire breadth of the game, if you will. And there's just more stats in baseball. It's been around a lot longer. All right, so now I'm curious here. I'm going to geek out a little bit. I gave you sliders, and I told you Randy Johnson. All right, number 10, Zach Greinke. Number 9, CeCe. Wow, that's one I wouldn't have thought on. Eckersley. That's one that I should have thought of. I still go with Randy, but Eckersley, number 8. That was a nasty slider, dude. Francisco Rodriguez. Very good. True. Bob Lemon. All right. Don't have that one. Wouldn't even have thought of that. Hall of Famer, great pitcher. John Smoltz. Yeah, Smoltzy as well. Okay. I also think I said Guidry. We've got Sparky Lyle. Didn't see him pitch. Bob Gibson, 3. See, that is something I would not have associated with. I would have thought Gibson, pure heat, and I knew he had a good secondary. I would not have thought Gibson at all. Steve Carlton. That's one that bothers me. That's one I should have said. Randy Johnson, number 1.
Yep.
So I got the number 1, and this is not definitively right, but I should have known Carlton. I've said that before. Now I've just got to look this up. Best changeups of all time. You know, remember who did I say?
Best changeup of all time. You said Pedro Martinez.
Attaboy. Just making sure you're listening, Jay.
Red Sox legend.
Yep. Mets legend too.
Oh.
No, I'm teasing.
Legend.
All right. So, you know, to me, if he's not number one, then this is not a good list at all. Number 10 are Jamie Moyer. Interesting. All right, Valquez. Okay. Rich Harden. Wow. These are some names I haven't thought. Timmy Lincecum was filthy. Burley was good. White Sox. One of the Pedro is 7.
Whoa.
Mike Mussina. Johan Santana had a very good changeup. I still think Pedro's was better, but Johan's was great. And then Tom Glavine. Yeah, I mean, Glavine was, I don't like that list. My list is better. All right, I got to get out of here, man. J-Rod, have an awesome weekend. Great job this week. Good work. Hopefully you guys enjoyed Alex. We'll get him back on wider range, more time, chill a little bit, shoot the shit differently. But I do appreciate Alex carving out some time and jumping on Unleashed for the first time. Big Knicks week coming up. Obviously, enjoy Game 7. Enjoy the weekend. Like it, subscribe it, get it out there, share it, hook me up because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do for you. And it's, it's kind of that relationship where you kind of have to do the same. Some of you do. Some of you need to be better at it. So have an awesome weekend. Awesome. And I will see you guys on Monday. Bye-bye.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your